Internal Revenue Service IRS news dated August 29th, 2019. As Hurricane Dorian gains strength, IRS encourages preparation for natural disaster. As Dorian threatens and with peak of hurricane season just ahead, the Internal Revenue Service reminds everyone to develop an emergency preparedness plan. Taxpayers, whether individuals, organizations, or businesses, should take time now to create and update their emergency plans. Taxpayers can begin getting ready for a disaster with preparedness plan that includes securing and duplicating essential documents, creating lists of property, and knowing where to find information once disaster has occurred. So obviously part of the plan here is to make sure that we have the information, some type of backup for the information, hopefully, and to be able to make sure that we know where to access that information, which actually is a key component that sometimes is overlooked. Secure key documents and make copies. Taxpayers should place original documents such as tax returns, birth certificate, deeds, titles, and insurance policies inside a waterproof containers in a secure space. Duplicates of these documents should be kept with a trusted person outside the area a natural disaster may affect. Scanning them for backup storage on electronic media such as flash drive is another option that provides security and easy portability. So obviously the original documents, some of the original documents aren't easily duplicated. You can't just have a copy of some of those items such as the birth certificate and the statement of social security card, and therefore you want to make sure that you put those into some type of waterproof package or something like that to make sure that you're safeguarding if indeed the waterproof is the type of disaster we're thinking about. In a hurricane situation, that would of course be the case. Then we want to have the backup copies so that we can have another backup copy. The backup copies hopefully being saved in some place that's going to be outside of any immediate danger related to any type of disaster such as a hurricane. Online copies is a good source for this as well. If you have a secure online backup type of copy, you might consider that type of storage, or some type of external drive could be a storage device as well, as like a USB type of drive that you can then store in some secure location as well. Document valuables and equipment. Taking photographs or videos of a home or business's content can help support claims for insurance and or benefits after a disaster strikes. All property, especially expensive and high-value items, should be recorded. The IRS Disaster Loss Workbooks can help individuals, PDF, and business PDF, compile lists and belongings or business equipment. So obviously when you're considering, hey, we might have a disaster here, we're going to have to file for an insurance claim. What is it that the insurance company would need in order to validate my claims for the insurance claim? Well, if you were the agent of the insurance company, possibly some type of videotape or something like that, or pictures of the property that is now gone or damaged or something like that, could be something that would be a supporting type of information for those types of insurance claims. Employers should check fiduciary bonds. Employers who use payroll service providers should ask the provider if it has a fiduciary bond in place. The bond could protect employer in the event of default by the payroll service provider. The IRS also encourages employers to create an EFTPS.gov account where they can monitor their payroll tax deposits and sign up for email alerts. Rebuilding documents. Reconstructing records after a disaster may be required for tax purposes. Getting federal assistance or insurance reimbursement. Taxpayers who have lost some or all of their records during a disaster should visit IRS's Reconstructing Record website. So obviously, if there is a problem when there is a disaster, and you have to think, okay, now we have to reconstruct the kind of documentation in order to put together the tax returns. Possibly the old tax returns have already been filed, and now you don't have them. Well, then you can contact the IRS. Those have been filed with the IRS. That's pretty good, because at least you can call the IRS and you could get information from the IRS, get copies in essence, or information related to the tax returns on that basis. If taxes have not been filed and documentation has been lost, such as W-2s, 1099s, that type of thing, those things are also generally given to the IRS as well. So if you're trying to reconstruct taxes and you don't have any of the documentation because it's gone now and you have a few years old of taxes, then you may want to consider, of course, contacting the IRS, because the employers will be providing that information generally to the IRS, and you can get the information from that point and be able then to reconstruct the documentation from there. IRS stands ready. In the case of a federally declared disaster, taxpayers can visit the Tax Relief in Disaster Situations website for information or call this number to speak with the IRS specialist trained to handle disaster-related issues. A taxpayer impacted by a disaster outside a federally declared disaster area may qualify for disaster relief. This includes taxpayers who are not physically located in a disaster area, but whose records necessary to meet a filing or payment deadline postponed during the relief period are located in a covered disaster area. Taxpayer located outside a federally declared disaster area must self-identify to receive relief by calling this number. Related items, you can take a look at some of these related items within the links. We will have a link to this news in the description.